Well, hello there. Welcome to Women Around a Table Eating Food. We're Nick and Jen, therapist and writer, partners in crime, and lifelong best friends. Around here, WTF means what the food. And it's our excuse to go deep, get real, and share the kind of messy conversations that usually stay between us and a plate of something delicious. So sit back, grab a bite, and join our conversation. Hey folks, before we get rolling, we just want to take a minute to acknowledge something real. The holidays aren't pure joy for everyone. For some, this time of year brings up grief for people we've lost, or a kind of loneliness that gets louder when the world insists that you should feel festive. And Thanksgiving itself carries a complicated history, one that's rooted in colonialism and the harm done to Indigenous peoples. And that's a truth we can't ignore. While this episode digs into some joyful Thanksgiving memories for us personally, we know that that's not everyone's experience. So if this season hits you in a hard way, we want to acknowledge that. And please know that whether you decide to pull up a chair for this episode or sit it out, we're incredibly grateful for you.
Do it. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, man, I feel like there's a certain there's a certain group of people in our life who you could literally hear
Mhm.
three words and know how somebody's doing.
Mhm.
And, full disclosure for everybody who's listening or watching, like obviously we hopped on and started talking a couple of minutes ago, but not that long. And
Yeah.
I can just tell when shit's down for you. I can
How?
do that with you. I can do it with my mom. It's your tone.
Yeah.
Even if I heard you on the phone and you are truly the most poised, the most capable of being able to hide the thing if you have to, because your entire profession is predicated on showing up no matter what and
Yeah.
not bringing yourself into the situation. But
Yeah.
but I can tell that your light's a little low today, just a
Yeah.
smidgen.
It's funny because I'm also learning how to integrate that part of myself into the work that I do so that women particularly know, like, it's okay if you're feeling a little low or if you're feeling tired or if you're feeling whatever it is. I also want to be a mirror that it's okay to admit, yeah, I'm exhausted right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. My hormones are doing wacky little things
Mhm.
as we recalibrate, and so my energy level is lower. And so I want that to be normalized too. That
Talk of
we're not always shining like the sun. Like
Yeah.
Heather had just
Bright like
has
a diamond.
yeah, right, right.
Not always bright like a fucking diamond. It's just
No.
not the way it goes.
Heather recently did a post on darkness. I don't know if you read it. It was, and she was talking a lot about how, like, we can't be the sun all the time. Sometimes we have to go dark. It's also cyclical with nature, right? We're going into the winter season where we hibernate and we cozy up and it goes dark much earlier. So it also,
Sure.
in some way, take away the hormonal stuff. It also is in line with nature.
Hmm.
So that's also why I want to normalize it because we're cyclical, seasonal creatures, as my wife would say.
Absolutely. Well, and
Yeah.
here in our hemisphere, we only just experienced the fallback time change, daylight
Yeah.
savings. No, daylight
Yeah.
savings ended. Right, right. And so I guess we're daylight spending now. I don't
Right.
know what the
Right.
opposite, such an inelegant daylight savings time. That only happened this past weekend for us. So we are 4 days into what it feels like to have more light in the morning and less
Yeah.
night later. I mean, more light,
Like,
light earlier in the morning and darkness earlier at night. So
yeah. Which I do love the switch. I love the switch
I do too.
of early morning light because we go on our
Yeah.
morning walk. And so, from a sunrise perspective and a circadian rhythm perspective, nerdy Nick here, it's really, really helpful for our circadian rhythm. So I kind of like it.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I like it for that reason and because I like nights so much. And I
Yeah.
love, admittedly, I loathe overhead lights and believe so firmly in ambient lighting and just low lighting. And there's I think we watched him with you, Shang Wang, phenomenal,
Yes.
phenomenal comedian. And so last year, Parker and I were able to see him in person in Boston, and it was a new special. It was, I'm waiting with bated breath for it to be released on Netflix, but he does this whole bit about sad childhood home lighting and what it was like to grow up basically like in an era of overhead lights where, nobody,
Yes.
like our moms and dads were too busy to be thinking about salt lamps and night lights and this that. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
turn off the light when you leave a room, turn on the light when you walk into it. And I loathe that. But our home at nighttime feels like magic. And so if I get an
Oh,
extra hour of that, it just makes me very happy.
yeah. Your home is a warm hug,
Mm,
cozy. Your lighting
yeah.
is phenomenal. I think the other reason why I like it too, especially in your home, is because I go to bed so early. And so in the
Yes.
summertime, it is still light out when we go to bed. So there's something really cozy and wonderful about actually going to bed when it's dark out.
Yes. Yes, that's a really
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point for the two of you. Can you
Mm.
remember being little when the time change happened and being little enough so that you had to go to bed when it was
Yeah.
still light outside and that argument I think that must happen all the world over with kids who live in a place where daylight savings is observed and
Yeah.
just the fight that why do I like but it's still light outside. Why do I like why do I have to go to bed?
Yeah.
Like it was so
Yes.
oh, I was not easy in that department when I was little. Nope, nope, nope.
Yeah. I was because I think I just love to sleep so much.
Yeah.
It was not a problem for me. And now, no matter, when we come visit, I'm in bed. Like there's a cutoff time. Like, that
Oh yeah.
once it hits like 8 o'clock, we are retreating up to the bed. And when I
Hmm.
do that at my mom in the summertime, she's like, it's still light out. You can't go to bed. And I was like,
Mm.
yep, I sure can. I can go to bed.
Grown woman, peace out. I can do it. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I like working. I like how I don't know. I just yeah, I'm like you. And I also and Parker especially, he does so much better when it's light out in the morning when we get up,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
alas, he talks about times would be working in the city in his younger years when it would be dark on the commute in, and then it would be dark when he would come out at nighttime. And that
Mm-hmm.
was just before the time change happened. And
Yeah.
obviously, right now we're recording this. We're recording this earlier than it's going to. We're hoping that this is going to be out on Thanksgiving Day, but we're recording
Correct.
this just after the time change. And, we'll be edging toward winter solstice, which also is just so magic, that
Mm.
split of darkness and lightness for that one
Hmm.
magical day of the year when it is exactly half and half. But
Yeah.
well, so the hormone piece and you right now, you're tweaking things. You're working with a new doctor and you're trying to
Yeah.
see what it looks like if you kind of move your levers up and down a little
Yes,
bit.
yes, yes. Because some of my markers are way too high, like my
Mm,
testosterone's super, super high right now. And then it's also I need more progesterone and things like that to
mm,
regulate my deep sleep. Like I sleep, right? So I sleep for
mm.
7.5 hours, but my deep sleep is always in the red on the Aura ring. Not a sponsor, but totally not opposed to
Not
that.
opposed.
Not
Show
opposed.
everybody
So
yours. You have yours,
I
and
have
I have
my
mine. I wear mine on my
Power
middle finger.
Twins Activate. Do you remember that cartoon?
I do. I do a little bit. I do a little bit,
So they
but
would do
not.
Power Twins
Yep.
Activate. I want to be an eagle. And the other
Oh.
one would be, I want to be a whatever. And they'd go and they'd transform into these two things. And then they'd go do what they needed to do because they
Mm,
needed to be an eagle for some reason.
mm. We need
So
to be hormonally balanced women. Ta-da!
exactly,
Ta-da!
exactly.
Ta-da!
Power Twins Activate.
I have on my Aura ring because
Yeah.
I felt like I wanted just a little something.
A little bling.
I got two $10 rhinestone rhinestone cowboy rings buffers to go on either side of my
That's
ring.
so
Isn't that so
great.
funny? I
I
really
love
wanted
it.
rose gold because I love rose gold more than anything, but the rose gold didn't complement it. And I
Oh,
really wanted the rose gold aura ring, but I'm too rough with my daily
mm,
activities and my jewelry. And I was already noticing that it was scuffing. And I
yeah.
also did a boatload of research, and everybody said it scuffs. And when it scuffs, then you just see the silver
Yeah.
underneath it, and was like, well, why
Right.
not? And when I look down at mine right now, it's completely scuffed because when I was at my mom's in the summertime and I was trying to do some plumbing for her and change out some of her faucets in her tub, I I wasn't smart enough to take it off. I don't know like if I wanted to see what my heart rate was going to be while I was
While you were
literally
plumbing?
while I was plumbing, like let's see how stressful this is going to get. And so,
Yeah.
I left it on and much to the detriment of it because it is totally scuffed up. But now I look down and I think, "Oh, that was the first time I changed a tub nozzle
You
ever."
are
And I was so
you're
proud of
so
myself.
handy. What else are
Oh,
you handy with, would you say?
thanks to the YouTube.
Besides the cooking, because like that's, your gift and talent, but is like what besides changing out tubs and toilets and shit? Like do you have another superpower when it comes to being
I
handy?
think I really enjoy seeing things that are, I like attempting to fix a thing, right? I like the research of it. I'm super grateful for YouTube. I'm super
Mm,
grateful for the internets to just be my absolute second brain. My father, who rehabbed houses all by himself when he was in his 20s and his 30s, like
mm,
he taught me from a very young age. He would say if I didn't know how to do a thing, I went to the library. And this was obviously before he could ever afford a home encyclopedia or before the internets. And he would go and check out a book and figure out how to
mm,
replumb the thing or do the thing. And so
mm-hmm,
I think I am patient, and so I'm good at reading instructions.
mm-hmm.
And I try to look at things from all angles when I'm putting something together. So I think that makes me a valuable asset in the certainly during the era of IKEA
Yes.
putting together of all the when
Uh-huh.
we were all together just
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I wasn't involved with the building of the lending library in your
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood. Parker and Heather did that together and did it so
Yeah.
successfully, and you finished that off. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like you. I mean, you see a thing and you want to attempt to try to fix it before you hire somebody to come in
Mm-hmm.
and do it. And then also, I remember the Kurt Chase advice: don't do your own plumbing, don't do your own electrical work because
Yeah.
you need professionals to come in and do those kinds of things. Not a tub
Absolutely.
thing. Like what I was doing was not that was not rocket science, but anything beyond that little thing that I had done, I
Yeah.
would certainly have brought somebody else in. And you
Yeah,
do the same thing.
I do. And I've also learned when to phone a friend, meaning there are
Yep.
sometimes I think I can do it and it takes me quadruple the time that it would take to have
Yes.
somebody come in. So when we got our treadmill and it said easy to put together, I'm like, okay, I can
You're
do
like, says who?
this. I can do this. And then I started it and like 2.5 to 3 hours in, I was like, I can't. I was like in tears because like I'd lost something in one of the tubes and I couldn't get it out and I'd worked so hard
Yeah.
and I had hardly anything completed.
Yeah.
And so we decided that we were going to call somebody, Love Thumbtack, by the way, for that.
Mm,
And he came within a couple hours and completed it in 30
mm.
minutes. And it was like $125.
Of
And I'm thinking
course.
to myself, why would I ever do this again? So
Yeah.
now anytime there's something to do, do the quick YouTube thing and I determine, okay, is it really that easy for
Hmm.
me or do I need to have more skills? And then if it is going to not be as easy as the YouTube suggests, I phone a friend.
It's knowing your worth.
Yeah.
I credit my phenomenal former husband Chris for teaching me that at a very young age. Like, no, think about what your hourly rate is
Yeah.
and think about the ROI and know your worth.
Yep.
And I also think that that has different shades of flavors and meaning depending on what your financial situation is or how you were
Hmm.
raised or what your financial situation was like when you were raised. Like, you
Right.
sometimes we try to do the thing a little bit longer than we should, but when we do get to a point where we're providing services for other people and we do have a worth
Mm.
and a rate attached to that. I think
Yeah.
that it's really important. And I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Grateful,
Yeah.
grateful for that message.
So
Certainly,
grateful.
certainly.
So we're getting close right now
Hmm.
to when our dear guest comes
Yes.
on. So I can't wait for her to join us, and we'll do a full intro when she comes in. I just don't
Yes.
know if I'm pausing us a little bit here because I'm not sure if we're going to have to let her in or if she's just going to pop up on
Right.
the screen because I don't
Right.
remember if the invite was one that was like therapy in the waiting room. I don't think I did that, so I just want to prepare us that she might enter any moment now.
Perfect. So for
Yeah.
all of our viewers and listeners out there who are paying attention, if you're watching, no one's crashing us. She's supposed to be here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, she's a very intentional. We're super excited. And once again, just like with Lisa, we would not be having this wonderful guest if it weren't for you. And if it weren't for your
Mm.
wholehearted, larger than life nature to be able to just walk out your front door and talk to people and connect and do all the things. So
Well,
yeah, you
thank you.
for
Thank you for
bringing
that.
us this lady. And she
Awesome.
also might be late, so maybe we'll be finding ourselves just like
Just
filling
shooting
in
the
the time, be
shit.
like, so,
Shooting the shit.
oh
Oh,
boy, we have
it
connectivity.
How's everybody?
Which is
doing
fantastic.
great.
Can
How
hear,
are
we can
you?
see.
We can
Hear
hear, we
and
can
see.
see. We are
Am I in the dark?
good. You are
No,
not. We have like the same. Did you paint that down there or was it like that before?
I knew that I was going to be speaking with you and you had a blue wall. So I was like, oh my God,
no.
I need a blue wall. Where's my
I
blue?
That's
love it.
commitment.
Yeah,
That is bloody commitment if I
I
ever
got that
heard it.
invite. I was on it.
On
I
it.
love it. Now, the big question is, I have a particular shade of navy blue that I am in love with that kind of is it tickles different spots of our house, and
Ooh.
it's called Hail Navy by Benjamin Moore. If you told me that was Hail Navy by Benjamin Moore, I think I would keel over and I don't know
This
what.
is actually Hail Navy by Benjamin Moore.
No, are you kidding?
I
Like
am. I am.
She
gorgeous
is.
gal.
You're
I
going to have
am.
a hard time telling when she
My
is
next
telling the
bit.
truth or she's pulling in her
Ooh,
chain.
Maybe your
should have
next
played
podcast is Amy
three
lying.
truths and a lie.
Yeah.
Is
Is Amy.
Amy lying?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, fabulous. I love it.
So,
I don't remember the name of this. We're clearing out the basement at present, and we probably have about 50 different types of paint
Mm,
in the basement from every type of trim, every time we've done the anything. And the blue is there because it does need to be touched up now that we have had workers adjacent to this spot. So I could tell you what it is, but if it's Hail Navy, that would be,
that would
it
be
would be
great.
unreal, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Hey, everybody. So, today, if we post this episode when we want to, which fingers crossed would actually be on Thanksgiving Day. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Nick and I are joined by Amy Kule, the creative force behind some of the most iconic televised celebrations in American culture. Oh, and Amy, also, while I'm giving this little intro, if I hit something that sounds wildly wrong, by all means, we're good journalists, but we certainly make mistakes from time to time. Uh, as the former executive producer and group vice president of Macy's Parade and Entertainment Group, Amy oversaw the legendary Thanksgiving Macy's Day Parade and the Macy's 4th of July fireworks show, two events that have arguably become woven into many Americans' holiday traditions. While at Macy's, Amy We'll cut that out.
Emily.
Amy, do you like the name Emily? Amy led a nationwide team of more than 150 people, balancing artistry and operations to deliver world-class live performances enjoyed by tens of millions of people every year. And notably, Amy also pioneered Macy's first ever revenue generating partnership marketing team, which very smartly transformed these historic Macy's events that so many of us know and love from being not only wildly entertaining to also being profitable platforms for storytelling, innovation, and connection. She's a producer, a strategist, a visionary who knows how to turn a moment into a movement, and very luckily, she's also Nick's neighbor, and she lives in a house that I absolutely fell in love with so much, like before we any of us even knew one another. So we're thrilled to have her with us today, talking about her past work, her current adventures, and how she's still making magical memories during this our messy midlife. So, Amy, welcome. We're super happy to have you here with
Thank you.
us.
I could give you my password to LinkedIn and you could just update it because that sounded really good.
Well, that's we are we're nothing if we're not communicators. So
Mm-hmm.
that's we're thrilled to have gotten that correct. So that's great. And by the way, people hire me to do that for my side job, so or my actual work. So if you do want some help wordsmithing things, that is actually what I do. So
Well,
I'd be
very
more
good.
than happy to help you.
Have at
More than
it.
happy. Good, good, good. But I think really beautifully, what we really want to know is how the three of us all came together, and
Mm-hmm.
importantly, how Nick found you.
Yeah, I seem to there's a theme, Amy, in the guests that we have brought on that I capture them. So it's like the capture story, like how I captured Jen, how I captured Lisa, who was on our first episode. So I think it's important that we talk about how you and I met because it makes me laugh. And so we are neighbors, and we often, Heather and I, go on our morning and afternoon and whenever time walks, and we kept, passing one another and saying hello. And is Dolly around, by the way?
Dolly, I locked her out of the room because she would be nothing but a nuisance.
Okay,
Mm.
all
But
right.
she can make
So
a guest appearance later if we'd like.
okay, we would love to have that happen. Dolly is her precious little baby dog, and Heather and I fell in love with Dolly first. Really, I
Oh,
mean,
And is that Dolly as in Parton or Dolly as in Salvador the painter?
it's actually Dolly, as in when we rescued her, her name was Dolly, and we were opting to change her name, but she had so many nipples because she was not spayed that it was Dolly Parton that really came into play.
that is great.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. That's excellent. Excellent.
So then there was this one. Then we Heather and I realized where Amy and Gail lived, and it's very close by. And I have adored their home, and just as you've adored their home. And it's this beautiful historic home that they've put so much love and attention into. And I really wanted to get in that house.
Get in
So
there.
I said to Heather, said, I'm just going to ask. I am just going to ask. And so I don't know that I outright asked. I said, we absolutely love your home. And then Amy said, you want to come in?
So generous.
And so then it was history from there.
Yeah.
I love it.
And that's not how we met, actually.
No?
Oh,
This is how we met. So Gail and I have lived here for 20 plus years. We know nobody except for those that have dogs. And not having children, not being part of the school district, not working locally, we really didn't know a lot of people. And so we used to see you guys walk by, and I'd say, "Ooh, young lesbians, we're out of here." But when I would take the dogs out, and I'd be like, we're going to get to know these women. We're going to say hello because the yenta of the neighborhood, I need to know who's around. And so we would accidentally run into you quite a bit. the fact that you liked our house and love our dog are bonuses, but we really wanted to meet people in and around the neighborhood, and
Mm.
the only way that we did that was with dogs. There were people that we were suspicious of because they had big, loud, obnoxious dogs, only to learn that they were absolutely lovely, and the dogs had a big mouth like my 13-pound dog does. But we were very curious because there's not a lot of women around here. So I had time on my hands watching out the window. And yeah, so I made it my purpose to say hello to you if we happen to be out for a dog walk.
Nick,
Well,
this is
that's
the
a
first time we're
lovely
hearing a story. You were captured.
Yeah,
You were
yeah, like
captured.
that's a
Capture
lovely
her?
it
addition
was like
to the
Pokemon Go. It was like,
Gail, go, go, go.
go, the dog's gotta go, get out.
They're there. I love it.
That
It's
is
fabulous.
fantastic.
But no, I do remember inviting you in. I don't know
Yes.
why we started talking about the house. I probably did my usual 10 minutes of how dumb it is to buy an old house and try to bring it back to life.
Mm.
And you might have said that you liked the house. So I definitely invited you in through the back door. I think
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the back door. And I think Gail was cooking because you had somebody coming over pretty soon. And you sprung us on Gail, and that was
not that sounds very typical. Yes.
yeah.
Gail
Yes.
cooking and I'm doing things to pretend to be busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is my Thanksgiving story, actually.
Say more.
Yeah, there's, when I was producing the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, one of the questions that I would always get, besides, tell me about the balloons, tell me about the floats, who's going to be performing this year, the question, there were two that always came up. One was, well, what is your childhood memory of Thanksgiving? And did you watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade growing up? And my father was the one that was really the biggest fan of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Remember the thing that I remember most on Thanksgiving is twofold. One is that I would do anything I could to hide on Thanksgiving, so I did not have to be part of helping my mother cook. I did not want to be in the kitchen. I didn't want to do anything. She pretended that I was sleeping, which was a total lie, because I would sneak into their bedroom where the television was. I didn't have one in my room growing up, but I would hide in the bedroom and watch whatever I wanted to watch. And I guess sometimes it might have been the parade, but I knew it was safe to come downstairs when my father would scream at the top of his lungs, "Santa's here!" And that
That's
was
too
the end of
funny.
the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I knew that my mother was done cooking, and I would get downstairs, and my only job, if the table wasn't fully set, I had to set the table and prepare the cornucopia that would sit in the middle of the table. And then flash forward, 35 years later, I was in charge of a 40-foot cornucopia and Santa.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And
Well,
never had to cook Thanksgiving once.
And is that the same now?
It is the same now. I left Macy's in 2017, tried to find our footing as to what we would do on Thanksgiving, because at this point, all the years go by. My brothers had children, their children are growing up, and everybody pretty much had their own tradition. When I left Macy's, the woman who ran the parade for 20 plus years had become one of our dearest friends, Jean McFadden. And if you know any of the history of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Jean was the one responsible really for bringing this parade back to life. She instituted a lot of the bigger balloons and the technology that brought the balloons to the sky. She also created the first hour with the Broadway shows during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And she became a dear friend when I worked for her. And she also happened to have a house about 25 minutes north of here. Here come the lawn guys. Tell me if this is too much, if you hear it. They're going to come right by the window. So Jean and I decided the two ex-parade ladies would be spending Thanksgiving together. And we did that first year, but unfortunately Jean passed away soon after that. So
Oh,
that tradition was thwarted. You can absolutely hear this
I
now.
can, but I'm going to put it through a nice
Yeah, I'm gonna,
audio.
I'm just gonna mute you for a second if that's okay. You'll be able to
Yep.
get around this because they're gonna be right here.
these years ever, and I've
I
cut
hope
them.
he
And
doesn't come back, but we'll see. If he does, I apologize. This happens every. I used to come on Fridays, and now they come on Thursdays.
All good. We're,
it's not a
So,
we
problem.
can run.
so Gene McFadden was pretty much the modern architect of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and one of our absolute dearest friends. And we would be
Mm.
with her here. We'd be with her at her house all the time. We'd get into a lot of trouble
Mhm.
and play, and that was going to be the new Thanksgiving tradition. Um, but we never really found our footing. My nieces and nephews now all have to split their time. Whose husband, whose wife. We've got to
Yeah.
go to Massachusetts. We've got to go to Long Island, and they all split. They split those holidays, and everybody's got their obligations. So many of our dear friends are with their own families. So what Gail and I have started doing is exactly what we used to do in New York post parade, which is go out to dinner.
Hmm.
And
Love it.
we've gone to many different places. It's only been a few years, so I guess from 2017 on. 2017, I was with Gene. Um, yeah, so we've done a little of everything, but really, I think as we start looking at this year and moving forward, it's going to be a go out to dinner thing, unless one of my nieces and nephews who are relatively close by have that off year. 2 years ago, we did go to my niece's in New Jersey, and it was really sweet to see her and her husband and two kids making Thanksgiving, and
Mhm.
all the little ones, well, who are now parents, they all were in or around the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade growing up. And my niece is the mother of twin 10-year-olds, and she was 8 years old and in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And
Wow.
and last year, her twin boys were in the parade, as was she, her husband, my brother, and his wife. So it was a full family around one of the floats in the parade. So the tradition
Mhm.
continues in a different format.
So
We
you've been
thought we
able,
read. Oh, I'm sorry, love.
no,
Go ahead.
you go ahead.
Yours sounded like it was going to be more thoughtful. Mine was going to be more about the food.
Well, my comment was going to be, so you've successfully avoided having to cook on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
cool. Well done.
And
Well
it's
done.
kind of hard to, everybody loves some type of food around Thanksgiving, but it's never like the meal in total. I
Mhm.
have a feeling more than anything it's about the tradition and not necessarily about the food. And if you had grandma's stuffing or the turkey or whatever it is, the mashed potatoes on April 5th, I would guarantee that it probably would not taste the same as it
Mm.
did the last Thursday in November. So I think those foods, although traditional and tasty, um, taste better because you're with family and it's part of
Mhm.
a holiday tradition. And I think that's probably the way of most foods. You remember the memory and not necessarily the food itself. And we've all tried to duplicate what our parents have done or what an aunt has done, and all the measurements are never the same. And it doesn't taste the same because the memory is not the same.
Mm. It's so spot on. We thought that we had read at one point that Balthazar had been a favorite spot after post parade. Was that true or lie, true or false?
I love Balthazar very much, and had been there once or twice. My favorite spot was always Craft, and we did try to go to a different place most every year, but
Mm.
more years than not, we went to Craft, which to this day is one of my favorite restaurants in New York.
One of my dear
No
friends
matter no
loves it
matter the
as
day of
well.
the week, no matter the occasion,
Yeah.
you can not go wrong there.
Similar to your tradition of going out when I was growing up, my dad was the youngest of five, and there was a pretty large age span between him and his closest sibling. And so they all had all of their babies and started then having grandchildren by the time my sister and I came around. And they all similar to what you were describing. They would all kind of have their own traditions. They would go to their children's homes, do different things. And it was just my dad and my mom and my sister and I, and my parents decided, okay, well, we're going to make a tradition and we're going to start going away. And so we would, whether it was the Wednesday night before or sometimes Thursday morning, if that was just going to be more convenient. And I grew up in Massachusetts. We normally went someplace in the Northeast, but that became our thing. And so having restaurant Thanksgiving, which growing up until that time, we had always eaten these huge family meals and all the generations would come together. But then it was just this wonderful opportunity to just have it be only us and
Mhm.
seeing what it was like to eat in a restaurant and for a holiday, which felt very antithetical to the way that I was raised. And we did that for a few years until later on in high school and then in college, it was more you were just excited to go home and be with family and be able to be a part
Mhm.
of that. But so I can relate a little bit to that. Oh, what are we going to do this year? How are we
Yeah.
gonna, where's it going to be? But it sounds like craft was a favorite spot. So it's kind of also nice to find your niche too.
Yeah, it was. After the parade, it was all you could do to put one foot in front of the other sometimes,
I bet.
honestly. And there had been years where I would just like fall asleep in my mushroom soup. It would just
Oh,
it was kind of deflating. You go from a big deal and everybody falling all over you, and you take off the outfit and you take off the hat and you take off the shoes and you sleep for an hour, and then you're completely anonymous.
yeah.
You're sitting at dinner and everybody, there's always going to be a conversation around you about Thanksgiving and the parade and the balloons and something, and you're just like,
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
yeah.
Well, I'd love to ask you a little bit about that, even just going back to your origin story a little and sort of thinking about how you landed there. Like when you were describing, Nick and I were wondering, of course, if you had watched the parade when you were little and all those natural thoughts, but I'm curious, who was in charge of the event production and the merry memory making in your house growing up, and who emulated that kind of hostessing? And did that have anything to do with the line of work that you ended up going into?
Hmm. I don't know that either one of my parents really influenced my line of work. My father was a doctor. Um, my mother did quite a few different things. She was very good with numbers. She was a bookkeeper. She was an interior designer.
Mm,
But more than anything, she was wildly creative from the
mm,
youngest of age. She was the one who would be part of the Boy Scouts with my older brothers, and I didn't last in the Girl Scouts, but I was a brownie, and that was like enough for
me
me.
too.
I just
Same.
Me either.
1 year and I was done. But my
Yep.
mother always toiled creatively up until the end. She was a painter. She was a crafter.
Mm,
She made dolls. My house is full of her needle points and paintings and
mm,
things like that. Um, and she's the one who, like, if there was a gift that needed to be wrapped, she could make it just look spectacular.
mm,
Um, but I wouldn't say that either one um, really influenced my career. I think they were both really pleasantly surprised when I had such a big career, um,
mm,
because it was a non-traditional direction. Like I said, my dad was a doctor, and growing up, I knew how to be a doctor because you go to
Mhm.
medical school, and I knew how to be a lawyer because there was law school, and there was not a lot of examples in front of me on really how to become anything else.
mm,
But from the youngest of age, I always production and pulling all the pieces together and
mm,
knowing where the soft spots were and understanding. I think understanding entertainment. I lived in front of the television. I really did, and it was obviously before cable and all of that. And I remember when Entertainment Tonight started and People
oh,
Magazine and all of these things, and I took it all in
mm,
and had an encyclopedic memory of everything. I could still do, 70s and 80s trivia for 1,000, right?
Oh,
Um,
I
yeah,
would have wanted to be your friend so
Oh,
badly
yeah.
when
You
I
would have
was
been
little.
besties.
Like, oh my gosh, you and I, we would have been like the pink team in Trivial Pursuit. I
yeah,
sucked at everything else in Trivial Pursuit, but that pink slice of pie, baby, boy, I could do that, but that was about it.
yeah. So, my dad, I think, always wanted to do something TV like. And there was a while, he was a psychiatrist, which is something that would make the both of you happy and smile.
Mhm.
But he had a radio show and he used to do a couple of TV things. And I think he liked that spotlight. And when, I was never looking ever to be in front of the camera, it was always pulling together the elements behind the camera. But the job came with front of camera experience. And I think both my parents really enjoyed being able to sit back and watch me in my career without having to leave the living room.
Mhm.
And they never did come to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Wow.
They never came to the Macy's 4th of July fireworks until nearly the end. And my mom, the first year that I cut the ribbon by myself in 2011, my mother came, and it was great. I'm not going to cry, but it was great. It was really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
I thought that was beautiful.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. What a special moment,
Yeah.
though.
It was great because, Gail used to, for the most part, depending on the year, I would have a golf cart next to me, and I had a driver, and they would hold my mother, and Gail would be with my mother. So the golf cart used to be able to go down the parade route, and she used to be able to see the whole thing.
Wow.
Um,
Oh, it just gave me goosebumps.
yeah.
That's so neat.
So I have pictures of her with like me and Al at the ribbon. I have pictures of like Santa like hugging her because she weighed all of like 12 pounds, which was really fun. But what happens with the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, when you're marching it down the street, you can't stop. You cut the ribbon, you cut the ribbon, you've got to go because it's a TV show and you've got to keep marching. And as I'm marching, they're pulling out from behind me the battery pack, the sound, the microphone, and you just watch. And I'm marching, and there's a guy with his hands up my shirt, which is the best part of Thanksgiving. And so you just keep going. And no matter what's in front of you, you've got to keep going because the camera's on you. And you've got a steady march, and you've got the rest of the parade behind you. So if you stop, nothing is getting downtown. And that very first year, it happened to be relatively warm. And I remember one of the band members in front of me, I wanted a large marching band in front of me, so I didn't march down the street to quiet. First of all, nobody knows who I am. They want to see the balloons, the floats, the marching bands. This is symbolic. The person from Macy's is merely a symbol. So I wanted the revelry around me. One of the band members in front of me leading the way fell.
Oh no.
And you have to keep going.
Oh.
So like I couldn't stop and say, are you okay? There's troves of people around you to make sure that if God forbid anybody, falls or gets hurt, they're going to be there. But I remember I needed to keep going. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw a member of the team coming to get him up and to make sure that he was okay. He was carrying a big tuba and it was hot. And
of course it was a tuba. Couldn't have been a piccolo.
He was 100% fine. But my mother saw me walk by him, and I just thought she would absolutely pass out. Like, how could you not stop and help her?
I raised you better than that.
That was sweet.
So, but it was sweet. And that year she came, I think I had some of my family there that year, but most of the time, I've got two older brothers, and my oldest brother was a clown absolutely every year. In the Macy's.
The literal clown in the parade?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
If you hug my brother today, he's like very stiff and he's like very formal, but you put on a little clown makeup and turn him into a piece of cake, and suddenly he is like the most effervescent, excited person in the world. And he rose through clown college and became one of the clown leaders. And
I was going to say, did he miss his calling? But it doesn't sound like he missed his calling.
Oh, he had a great time. You had a great time, but my mom would come and it would be a family event. My other brother would watch and say I'm freezing and leave halfway through. Um,
Mhm.
and I've had four of the kids in, and now, as I said at the beginning of our conversation, the next generation has started. But I did have the full family at the fireworks, which is one of the most
Mm.
majestic things to see.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could do your laundry and come back, and the fireworks are still going off 25 minutes later.
Yeah.
What are
And
you guys doing
you,
for Thanksgiving?
Jen, what are you doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing.
We're the hosters. So
Oh,
we have, like you, our house, we live in an old house. We talk about old house problems all the time. This house
What
was
year
built
is yours,
in
Jen?
1820. 1820, and we bought it at the beginning of the pandemic, and so this is our fifth year here. And luckily, like, it's not ginormous, but there is space for my mom and my adult sister who's developmentally delayed. She lives with my mom, so they are a package deal every holiday. They always come together. My husband's mom lives in Vermont. She comes down. His sister lives nearby. I've got two step kiddos, so we tend to be the place where everybody convenes, and it's a whole lot of cooking and a whole lot of prep and a whole lot of everybody telling me not to make things from scratch, and that not every favorite food has to be eaten on one day of the year. Like, I'm listening to you talk, the number of times you said, "Baby, we can have this. We could have it in April. It doesn't have to
Mm.
be now." I'm like, well, kind of
But
feels
it
like it has
does.
to be. So yes, we will host, and I will do the majority of the cooking. And honestly, admittedly, it's my favorite holiday of the year because I think that it tends to be the least commercial and it's the most wholehearted to me.
Mm, mm. That's
have you
And I love
started
beautiful.
yet?
food.
Do you have the menu plan?
I don't, because honestly, I'm also, and I am known for trying new things. They're tried and trues, but I do love experimenting. And so I read an article recently in one of the food magazines about how they called it sides-giving. And I
Oh,
thought,
yes.
well,
Oh,
that's
yes.
really, really smart. And also, I absolutely love making my turkey, and it's a 4-day process, so I couldn't possibly give up the the buying, the brining, the this, the that. So it'll be all of it, but it'll probably also be
Mm,
will be some new sides, I think. So I'm
I
looking
love
forward
that.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
How about you, lovey?
our stepbrother Jimmy is coming down. He
Jimmy.
lives up probably about 45 minutes from here. So it's just going to be the three of us. Originally, we were thinking about going out too, and then we decided no, we'll just stay in and be cozy, make a
I
fire. We
wish you
got
were
all
coming
of
here.
I know, baby, I know.
It's too
Traveling on
chaotic,
Thanksgiving
though.
is
I
not
know.
my thing.
I
I do
know.
not enjoy that. And
That's
so
why
we're
we
going
need
to
a fucking
just,
compound.
yeah, that's right. So we're going to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and the dog show.
Oh, wait, talk
And
show.
I know, in the dog show. And we're going to put a fire on because the third accord or sixth accord or however many cords of wood are outside now. And we're just going to keep it simple. We'll cook. I'm having stuffing this year. I don't normally have like stuffing because like the bread makes my blood sugar spike, all that kind of, stupid, crazy shit. But I am having stuffing this year because I want it and I'm going to make it with a beautiful sourdough. And I was
Mm,
thinking a smoked turkey breast rather than like a regular
I like
turkey breast.
that.
I
I
know.
am feeling massive, delicious dish Saturday Night Live vibes right now. I swear to God, like, I can't not. If anybody says sweaty balls, I will burst out into song.
Yes.
Absolutely. But so I'm just gonna think about this. I have an amazing turkey hash recipe that
Oh,
if you're gonna have the stuffing,
yeah.
and if you do potatoes, I've got this hash recipe to absolute beat the band, and I'll
Send
send
it
it to you
along.
because it's so good.
It's definitely stuffing. It's not dressing.
No, no. We don't even know what dressing is.
Gail told me
Dressing.
that it's dressing for her, and I'm like, don't think so.
No, no. Try again. Try again, Gail. The other cool little, I think a fun fact too, is Amy had a float of one of her precious dogs in the Thanksgiving Day parade.
You did?
Correct?
Talk
Yep.
about that.
Yes, I did. I had at the time I had a dog.
Snoopy? Was it Snoopy? Snoopy was really your dog. It's unbelievable.
Still going. My dog Trixie was a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It turned out in like 2015 or so, at Macy's to this day, of course, there's what can we do different? What could we invent? What hasn't been done before? And we had just done an art balloon with Jeff Koons. And Jeff Koons, that typical balloon dog, and turned it into a fantastic piece of art that has become understated, to say highly collectible, but obviously highly collectible. So I was thinking, what could we do balloon wise with the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade that would just be a little bit undersized? So if it happened to be foul weather, it wouldn't be one of the balloons that gets pulled from the sky. And if there's really bad weather, the city of New York has the ability to pull the giant helium balloons down up to a certain size. But if they're a little bit smaller, then it's okay for them to fly. So we wanted to make sure that there are things still up in the air should we have inclement weather. So everybody knows those balloons that you buy when you go to what used to be Party City, and they'd be the inflatables that would hover on the floor with the bouncing legs that had paper feet. And I thought, well, if we turned one of those into a giant balloon, that would be new, it'd be innovative. We could build it out of the parade studio. So a lot of those balloons are shaped like dogs. So what better dog than my dog?
Right.
So I worked with the head of the parade studio, a gentleman named John Piper at the time. And we came up with this fantastic design that was in fact Trixie, that had the accordion legs. Instead of paper feet, they were giant helium-filled feet, and a huge helium body, about a 15-foot name tag that said Trixie right across it. And the balloon feet were filled with helium, but the legs were in fact accordions. So when the balloon came down 6th Avenue, we had balloon handlers on the feet that could move the feet up and down. So when you saw the balloon on camera, it really looked like the dog was prancing down the street. And,
Unreal.
And it was Trixie, and it was fantastic. I've got the balloon model here actually. And when I saw the balloon fly for the first time in New York, I happened to be on the 6th floor of Macy's Herald Square when it was coming down 6th Avenue before it turned on 34th Street. And it was really serendipitous. Trixie just happened to go by the window right when I was looking.
Wow.
And like, there she was just going around the corner. And it was so great. And a great shot of her in New York when we test flew the balloon. I've got a picture of me, Trixie, the balloon model, and then I've got a picture of her and the balloon. But I do keep the balloon model is here outside of my office.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
It's pretty great.
That's awesome.
What year was that?
That flew in 2016.
So that was just a year before
That was
left.
my last parade. I figured I knew I was leaving. I knew before that parade that it was my last parade.
Yeah.
And it was a very proud moment to have that part of it. And
how did you know?
Students.
How did you know that was going to be your like? What got you to that point where you said, you know what, now I've done this, iconic, wonderful, amazing thing, and now it's time for me to go.
Yeah. It was a couple things. There were a lot of things going on corporately at Macy's. When we worked on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, there were a lot of hands off over the years, like just make sure it's a fantastic parade. If you have problems, let me know. And we had autonomy, and there was a change within the marketing department where I really felt people were going to get involved in decision making, that we never had the pressure of corporate marketing to really influence what we were doing. But and I could have gone on forever, quite frankly. I could have just sailed through and it would have been fine. But it was the 90th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and it was a significant milestone. It was the 40th Macy's 4th of July fireworks. I built a year's worth of entertainment leading into the 90th and planned all the festivities around the 90th.
Mm.
Um, and I had a choice to make. Do you leave at 92? Do you leave at 97? To
Yeah.
stay straight through to 2026, which would have been the 100th.
Mm.
Um, but I looked at it all and it was like, I've really done, the 90th was very big for me. It was very big for the country. Um, and I really just made a choice of how do I really want to spend the next 10 years. I could
Mm.
post and continue doing what I'm doing, or I could fly a little bit higher and do things that I want to do. And all the kids were getting older. My parents were getting older, and it was just time to jump.
Mm.
And I did.
Now you
Still
soared.
feel that in your bones? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I immediately went
Absolutely.
to the Tournament of Roses and became their chief creative and development officer. So I went from one big parade to another.
Mm.
Um, and it's
And are you doing that now?
no, I worked with them for about 6 or 7 years, and now I bring clients to them. So I've got clients within the Rose Parade. So I've lost every holiday in my life from the mid 90s on, and now New Year's is yet another holiday. So yeah, Fourth of July. I never knew people went home and celebrated on Thanksgiving. I just thought we were always at the Macy's parade, and now New Year's is surrounded by a whole lot of flowers and yet another gorgeous parade making its way through the streets of Pasadena and in the hearts of people
Wow.
around the world, actually.
Were you nervous when you made that jump?
Yes, very much so. Because
Yeah.
I didn't know how to spend. I didn't know how to spend private time, honestly.
Mm.
Mm.
And when I was leaving, there were a lot of people that I was talking to. People, when the announcement was made, uh, some of the most wonderful people that I didn't expect called me and just like, let's have breakfast, let's have lunch, let's have dinner. And there was a woman that I was with who had also started her own company at some point. And I said to her, I said, how do you spend your day? Like, I didn't understand
Mm.
how you were not fully scheduled from like 8 o'clock in the morning to maybe 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
Mm.
And we did events at Macy's when most people were free, right? So that was like before you got to work, in the middle of the day, or after work. And I oversaw a team of special events people across the country that produced all the in-store special events as well. Every personal
Mm.
appearance, every fashion show, any product launch, it was all happening all the time. So there was tons of travel, but you were constantly busy, and you were constantly busy planning Mother's Day and Father's Day and back to school. And we had a flower show, and obviously we've said the fireworks and the parade a million times, but and Santa. So it was like Christmas.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you were busy all the time. And I said to her, so like, how do you spend your day? And I didn't understand the wake up and calmly have breakfast and then go to the gym and have your meetings and be home at a certain time for dinner. It was baffling to me.
Mm.
Mm.
And that, I think, how you spend your day, that has changed. The arc of that has changed over the past 7 or 8 years, obviously,
Mm.
from starting my own company to being in Pasadena for 1 week out of every month to COVID
Mm.
and slowing everything down. Um, the scope of how one spends your day has really transitioned.
Mm.
Well, something we talk about a lot here, of course, is navigating the messy midlife, right? The things that seemed to be easier when we were younger, the things that were de rigueur that we had gotten used to, how hitting a certain point in life, whether it's emotionally or physically, just kind of upends that a little bit. And so asking that question earlier about, were you nervous to do this? I mean, sometimes, life is about timing, right? The things that we plan for and the things that we don't. But you chose to do this after having a wildly successful career in one place for a long time. Were you there 20 years?
20
Was
plus.
it
I started
20
in
plus?
96. Yeah.
So, the fact that you were sort of rewriting your story and figuring out how to spend your day, not when you were in your 20s and 30s, but when you were a little bit older, wiser, you'd had all these different experiences. I mean, what for people who are listening to this, you might be on the precipice of change and making a big decision. What would you say to them,
Mm.
and what advice would you give, or what caveat would you give?
You know, you have to jump right in. If
Mm,
you make the change, do your best to be prepared for it. And by that, I mean, like, figure it out before you make the change. Like, if you're somewhere and if you're in a big job and you're going to another one, um, write down the things that you're interested in doing. If I leave this job, I am definitely going to go to the gym every day. I'm definitely going to learn how to cook. I'm definitely going to be home at a certain hour. I'm going to see the movies that I wanted to see, or I'm
Mm.
going to create. I'm going to create that website. I'm going to write that TV show. I'm going to journal every day and figure out how to carve out your time differently and realize what you're walking away from and why.
Mm.
mm,
My life is a little bit different. My partner is 17 years older. So that certainly played into the idea of walking away when I was a little younger. Um,
mhm,
it was a real luxury to be able to say that I was going to do that at, at
yeah.
that age, just to step off the curb and not have a safe place to land. I'm thankful that as soon as I said I was leaving, I had about 8 clients. Um,
Wow.
and I
Wow.
which I wasn't prepared for. I mean, I was very well taken care of at Macy's with assistants and somebody who handled most of my technical items. I didn't know how to do a calendar invite. I never put a PowerPoint together, and suddenly I had clients who were saying, "Well, what does that look like?"
Mm.
And I was not. I had no staff, so it was. You talk about messy and difficult. Uh,
Yeah.
Suddenly I had FAO Shores was one of my clients, and I had these decks that were put together, and I needed copies, like copies. I'd call my assistant and be like, I need 20 by noon.
Mm.
Suddenly I'm schlepping to Kinko's, and I'm living in New York City and going through the streets and figuring out, like, how do I get it from one place to another? I'm messenger service, starting my own website, getting all those business things up and running. At the time, Zoom really wasn't necessarily
Mm,
as big as it is now because of the pandemic.
mm.
Zoom, of course, took off, but um, it was pulling all those things together that somebody a lot smarter than me would have done before they walked out the door. I
Mm.
walked out the door with the clients and then suddenly had to figure out the administrative side of things.
But you were so brave.
So
That was
yeah,
Mm.
so, I
yeah,
think that that was wildly brave. And, there was a kiss of luck in that you obviously had made such an unbelievable impression with all these people with whom you'd worked, and they all
Mhm.
wanted to still be a part of you, and they wanted you to be a part of them. I
Mm.
mean, you could have walked, not had those skills initially, and had no clients. I
yeah.
mean, it's incredible. It really is.
Mm.
I really admire it.
Well, I spent, I had this 3 month reprieve where I knew I was walking out the door. And what most people would have done would be prepare for what comes next. I
Mhm.
spent so much time making sure what I was leaving behind was safe and in good hands.
Mm,
Mm.
I backed out the door on the last day and I was still like dusting and making sure that everybody had what they needed. Um, and they probably didn't need me to do that. I needed me to do that. I
Mm.
needed to know that everything that I had set forth in motion was taken care of. Anybody that I hired or nurtured was taken care of. Anybody who I thought was not going to be taken care of was going to be taken care of in some way that maybe I could affect before I left. So
mm,
there was a lot of that and ignoring what was right for me the day after I walked out the door.
Mm.
Um, so the day I left Macy's and, walked out the door, I got on a plane and went west. And
Mhm.
I went to Los Angeles. I had a conference that ended on I think it was like April 1st. The day I started my company was April 1st. And I
Mm.
called it Amy Kule's Day instead of April Fool's Day. Um,
Fantastic.
But yeah, we drove north through the wine country.
Mm.
I went to an event. We ended up in Sacramento, where some of Gail's friends are. Went back to Los Angeles and into Pasadena, and met with the Tournament of Roses. Met with them quite a few times actually, and came back to New York. And FAO Schwarz was a client almost right away. Sharper Image. Um, I worked with the chef Sandra Lee, was a client.
Mhm.
Mantle Media. Um, so there was a lot going on, and it was me at my dining room table in New York City, trying to figure it all out.
Mm.
And was that event production for each of these folks, or was it more publicity and marketing and things like that?
It was all different. For FAO Schwarz, it was relaunching a brand. They were going
Mhm.
back into the toy business. So I helped them get their footing event wise in 5,000 events across the country. I did their launch at Bergdorf Goodman and brought in Katie Holmes as their spokesperson.
Mm.
And we did a great event at Bergdorf Goodman and brought in a charity partner called Kaboom, which is a absolute gorgeous organization that builds playgrounds in neighborhoods that need them.
Mm.
Um, for Sharper Image, we did an event. We did a pop up shop in Times Square, which was great, and
Mm.
flew drones all over the place. And I got the police department and the fire department to race remote control cars and turn the whole lower level of this pop up shop into a racetrack.
Mhm.
Fun.
So it was events, it was marketing. It really depended on who the client was and what their needs were. But what it's really become is me being a fractional part of businesses for organizations that are not going to bring on a full department or a full time person. They
Mhm.
Mm.
have a CMO for a short amount of time or a long amount of time, and just understand where the soft spots are with their company and if they want to go in that direction. And a lot of people do run lean and mean now and
Mhm.
just need somebody to handle something that they don't have the bandwidth to do. And because I'm one person, I could do it myself, or I could scale up as much as needed. So
That's
uh,
fantastic.
Brilliant.
yeah,
What a
Yeah,
way to reimagine yourself.
yeah.
yeah, and when when you're telling some of these stories, Amy, what comes through to me is that you embody a level of like just a level of wisdom, a level of confidence, just there's something that like about you where like for example, when Heather and I first met you and we're like she's a vibe. Like she's got something in her where like I want to just extract all of the knowledge and the wisdom and the perspective that I can out of her. Do you feel like that is has always been a part of you and or is have you kind of leaned into that as you've aged and kind of come to this particular point in your life?
I would not, I would never say that I was deep in wisdom. I was always deep in energy.
Mm,
Um,
Mm.
I always say that if I was an athlete, or if you describe my personality as an athlete, I'd run short distances very fast,
mm,
and I would not be a marathon runner.
mm,
Mm.
That takes like dedication, stick to itiveness, and I'm like quick in and out, high energy. Let's get it done. I know what needs to happen. This is the path forward, and I've always been very good about having the team around me
mm,
to figure out how best to move it forward.
mhm.
You also sound like a point guard, which
I was
that
just
was what
thinking
Nick did. And
that.
Nick, like it's so you both are so similar in that way because that was Nick's role when
Mm,
she played basketball, and it's just being able to see what's in front of you
mm,
and be able to mindfully, thoughtfully manage the people around you too.
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. And there are people that are absolutely very good at the long distance running thing. That will plan all the meetings, that will be very steady and handhold as much as they need. I like to walk in a room, understand what, look around, I could read the room very well and then
Mm.
get out of there before I upset people by being me a little bit too hard. Yeah.
Arguably, you're probably brought on for
Being
your
you.
being you, though, right? Like
Yeah.
people know what they're getting when they bring you in.
Well, I've had the great luxury of in doing what I'm doing. I've met people from every walk of life and every business. And
Mhm.
so there's a connective tissue that I could bring to the table um, from the entertainment side of things, consumer products, kids entertainment, um, civic minded work, creative work, from building a balloon to flowers on the West Coast to I've worked with every consumer product that you can imagine in fashion companies. And so if somebody calls and says, I need to know somebody in this walk of life, and I know I'm not giving you specifics, but I could probably get you there.
Mm.
And I've probably worked with them or know somebody who works with them. And some of my business has been that, just get me in the room to meet somebody, get me in the room so I could pitch this particular work. And I could do that. And it doesn't have to be a long term thing for me. It's just helping two other entities come together.
Mm.
So I've done a little of that as well. So,
Mm. Is
but
there a next, so in all of this, so you've had your own company for 8 years now?
yeah, pretty much.
8 years. Is there a next chapter? Is this chapter still, you're still writing it? I'm curious.
There's definitely a next chapter.
Mm.
There's definitely going to be a new thing on the horizon.
Do you feel it? Do you know it already what it is?
Oh, you look like you know it.
I've
That
got,
face.
I've just got to do it. See, that's the thing because I don't have the team. If I had the team or a right hand or a young intern, there are about 14 things that I could put into play right now. But I need the motivation and the skill set to move these things forward. Um, but now I figured out how to spend my day. Where
Mm.
8 years ago I didn't know how to spend my day, I've come into a very nice routine of how I like to spend my day. So that
Will you
is,
share it with us? Tell us what you do.
it's
Walk us through.
lazy. It is lazy, and it has a lot to do with the New York Times games.
Yes.
But I'm up at 7:30. I'm out the door with the dog. Um, I still read the paper version of the New York Times
Mm.
as well as online, and I promised myself only 3 games, or else it would spend the day. And it's Wordle, it's the mini crossword,
Mm.
and it's spelling bee, and that's like
Oh.
I can't go beyond that.
You
Uh,
can't do not connections? No?
it will all be on. I hate connections.
Okay. We do Wordle and connections. We haven't ventured into spelling bee or the
My
mini.
mind doesn't work right for connections because there are just so many options in my mind that I can
Yeah.
never hone in on whatever that one thing is, and I'm always disappointed.
Yeah.
Or I feel like, of course, look, I just did it. Connections, easy. Um, why is anybody connecting? But no, the way that my mind shifted, besides this entrepreneurial aspect of the many different things that I would like to do, when COVID happened, it forced us all to stop and do something a little bit different. And if you weren't part of an office and roped into the job that you're currently doing, your mind was forced to do something different. And what aligned for me and what changed for me is I was still doing my work for the Tournament of Roses. As a matter of fact, that grade got canceled, unlike the Macy's parade, which was a hybrid of what it was supposed to be. The Tournament of Roses and the Rose Parade got canceled. So I ended up, while everybody was sitting at home on a computer, I was on the run. I produced a TV show for them that they had never had before. And I helped produce a 2 hour television special on the Rose Parade that ran internationally in place of the Rose Parade. So I was on the run, but simultaneous to that, my first great nephew was born.
Mm.
Or actually my third great nephew. The twins were already born, but my nephew, who I was very close with and continue to be close with, I lived on 75th Street. They lived on 71st Street. They had a little baby, and there I was with time and this little child. And
Mm.
I had the great fortune of spending not only every Wednesday with him, but anytime they needed help, I was 4 blocks away. And that really helped shift my mind. And I was not thinking, where's my next client? What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? I like fully focused on this little boy, which I did not have my own children. I didn't have the chance to do that with my nieces and nephews so much because I was working full time and they were all coming up when I was at Macy's. And the nieces and nephews got to meet every hero of their lives. You know, I love Derek Jeter. We just won the World Series. Boom, here's Derek Jeter. Say hello. You know, they all had that opportunity, but it was while I was working. And when I stepped off the curb and started doing my own thing and figuring out how to spend my day, uh, COVID really helped me kind of take a bigger step back.
Mm.
And spending time with Caleb became a really big, important thing. And then they moved to the suburbs. So I gave up my apartment 2 years ago, and he's 25 minutes from me. And he's now 6. And he
Mm.
started this thing called school. Very annoying. He's now an older brother, and he's a big kid. But I spent 2 or 3 years with him, and
Mm.
I didn't have him every day, God knows, but I had him quite a bit, and that refocused me quite a bit.
Mm.
And now he's one of like 6 in the next generation that I try to see as much as I can. And I had Caleb in New York this past weekend. We went to the Gazillion Bubble show, and I brought him
Mm.
to Times Square, and he was blown away by a whole store dedicated to M&Ms.
Aren't we all?
It was like $100 in M&Ms, but I want those. Um, so it's been fun. I've taken my twins to their first Broadway show a couple of years ago. They all come out during the summer. I've got the great good fortune of spending 4 months at the beach, and they all come there. So it's been a radical shift in my life for this messy midlife, um,
Mm.
to try to put some parameters around it that are family based and personal, which I've never really had that time.
Mm.
20, 25 years of working not just a full time job, but a full time job that is um, totally all encompassing.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's every holiday, it's every hour of any given day. And I wouldn't have traded it for the world because it kept me with my fingers on the pulse of every piece of entertainment that that kid watching Entertainment Tonight and grabbing the TV Guide and seeing People Magazine. If there was something that I was in love with and something that I thought was great, um, if I could figure out how to sell underwear and partner it with the newest entertainer, done.
Mm.
And I got to do that for 25 years.
I I was going to ask you while you were talking about your home, what the transition had been like from living downtown, living in the city to living where you are now. And then it reminded me of something that I had wanted to ask you about before. And I'm realizing how much kismetness there is. Not a lot of people have a movie that's kind of based loosely off of what their career path is, but we would be remiss as people who are lovers of TV and film to not talk about Miracle on 34th Street. And at the end of that movie, there's actually a move that gets made into a beautiful house out in the suburbs. And I have to ask, of the two versions, was Maureen O'Hara your starlet, or do you identify more with Elizabeth Perkins? Like inquiring minds want to know.
Well, I love Elizabeth Perkins always plays some cranky, angry woman.
Right.
Yes.
So much. Remember about last night? She was just awful.
Oh, yes.
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 I like that part of Elizabeth Perkins, but there is no question that that second movie never should have been made. I mean, Miracle on 34th Street should have just remained on 31st.
Right.
Um, I've gotten to spend some time with Maureen O'Hara. Um,
Oh.
we had her in the store, I think, I mean, I'm 500 years old now. I can tell you, it was the VHS version with special footage for maybe the 50th anniversary. I don't know, but we had her in to celebrate whatever spectacle that was. And there's a picture somewhere that that is a picture of me, Maureen O'Hara, and Jean McFadden. And to me, that is the trifecta of a picture.
Mm.
Jean was
Oh.
running everything at the time. There was somebody between Jean and I named Robin Hall. He was there. But it was the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And there was, it was a beautiful moment. I remember sitting back thinking, because I always thought this way, at some point, I'm going to run this whole thing. And I was looking at Maureen O'Hara thinking, yeah, this makes sense.
Mm.
But I'll tell you my Miracle on 34th Street story if you want to hear it.
I
Of
would love
course.
to. We would love to.
So just like you said, it was one of the things that people used to say to me all the time, oh my God, the woman from the movie. And I would have my silly joke that said, yes, I took the job because I thought after the parade started, I would go back to my Central Park West apartment and just watch the parade go by.
And that didn't happen?
That absolutely did not happen. And they'd all say, oh, when you get the house at the end. And I will tell you that I never saw a Miracle on 34th Street. And everybody would say, oh, you get the house at the end. And I'd be like, yeah. Me and little Susie, we get the house at the end. And I had no idea what we were talking about at all. As a matter of fact, the only part of Miracle on 34th Street that I ever saw was the part that included the actual footage from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was filmed at the 1945 or 1946 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. There are still pieces. Some of it was filmed in the store. There are old lockers that were in that movie that are probably not in the store anymore. But it was filmed on the 13th floor, and it was filmed at the parade on the Upper West Side. There are some of the balloons have been recreated that were there. But the day that I left Macy's, I told you I got on a plane and went to California. And Delta now has classic movies that you could watch on the plane.
Oh, stop it.
And one of them was Miracle on 34th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
On my last day at Macy's, when I got on a plane and flew to California, I watched all of Miracle on 34th Street.
It's totally making me cry, and I have no idea why.
It's so great.
I understood about little Susie, and I understood about the house, and I also understood why absolutely everybody loved that movie.
Oh.
And so that's when I saw it, and I did not see it up until that point.
And think about all of the oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The parade happens, and then it used to be Miracle on 34th Street, and then the dog show, and then they would repeat the parade at like 6 or 8 o'clock. By the time I got home from the parade and tried to sleep for it, the parade would end. There was a party inside Herald Square for senior executives and their kids, and that party would end. And I would stay until the very end. All the cleaning guys would be there. I would stay till the last guy left. My feet would be killing me. I'd be up from whatever hour, 2 days long, whatever it was. I would be the last one to walk out the door. I'd go to my apartment. I'd pass out for a little while, and Miracle would be on. But I would never be able to see it because I'd fall asleep like right away, and it'd be done. But I'd wake up to dogs, woof. But I never saw the movie.
Wow, that's full circle right there.
And so many people, without your knowing, associated you with that. They probably associated with you you with their feelings and their attachment to the film. I mean, it's really, even without your having known what it was all about, that's kind of a really beautiful thing to think about.
And I've got the VHS around here. I mean, if you ever came into my office, and I hope you both come over, I could
Mhm.
take you for a little stroll down memory lane here. But I'm getting close to the point of donating everything to a historical society.
Oh, wow.
All my ribbon cutting outfits. I've got all the press kits. I've got all my presentations from NBC. Gail is printing to my printer right now. We have
This
one
is
upstairs.
life.
Yeah, we've got one upstairs, but who knows the difference when the iPhone. I've got all of my lanyards, all the tickets. I've got it all here. So with the 100th anniversary coming, there's been some outreach of a society that wants to take in all of my belongings, which is fantastic because the last thing you want is your family to be like, oh God, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
What do we do? Oh, there are the scissors. She cut the ribbon. Who cares? What do I do with it?
Mm.
So I'll
Is
probably
there,
Lots of shadow boxes.
is
um,
there an Emmy statue behind you? Is that what I see behind you?
there is.
Oh my
Yeah, look at
gosh.
that. Take it in,
But
Jen.
more, like there
Oh,
are other things. So like if behind me you see that, can you see the colorful frame?
Yep.
yes.
That was done by William Ivy Long. That is the hand colored artwork for a scarf that he made me when he made one of my ribbon cutting outfits, and that was
Wow.
the art. And he hand colored it in, and
Oh my gosh.
against the wall. I don't know if you could see. That is music. That is the music that I used to march into Herald Square in, and a gentleman named Milton DeLug, who was the first musical director for the Jack Parr Show before Johnny Carson.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the music that I would march in, and he used to be the musical director for the for Macy's, and he used to do the whole television show. He wrote that music for me and signed that. So that's what's really around this office. And if you open up the doors and peek behind the cabinets and all, it is where there's just so much stuff that, nobody's going to want it. I mean,
I
little,
don't know someone's going to want that Pillsbury Doughboy. They're going to want that. They're going to want that in their kitchen.
I've got
That'd
every
be a,
toy that you can imagine. I've got toys that are still in boxes. I've got, I've got it all, and it's all going to go. I'm happy to absolutely get rid of all of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
is there something that you'll keep that has extra super meaning for you that
I
you're
will keep
willing
my
to share?
scissors. I will keep my scissors. I've got Trixie, and that will stay. And I've got two pieces of framed balloon remnants. One of Underdog from 1965,
Oh,
and one of Snoopy from 1987.
So
And
cool.
those are in my living room. I also have a script, hand typed script from the 40th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade that when I met Betty White, I had her sign. Betty White was the host that year with Lord Green, and I had
mm,
her sign the script, and I have that here. Those things I'll probably keep, but I used to open and close the New York Stock Exchange, open it for the parade and close it for the fireworks. I've got all those medallions and things here. I was made an honorary mayor of 34th Street. I've got um, I've got whatever that medallion was. Nobody's
Wow.
I've got so many toys, so many books. I've got a box of autographs. I've got a bottle of water here that Justin Bieber drank. Um, I've got CDs signed all over the place. I've got autographed pictures from Donald Trump when we launched his suit line at Macy's.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
it goes. I launched NSYNC and did a concert tour, 4 stores at Macy's, and then had the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We had Destiny's Child when there were 4 Destiny's children and not 3.
right. Destiny's Children.
Um,
That's great. That's great.
so it's endless. That kind of celebrity stuff was really endless, and 2000s when every brand had some kind of celebrity component. You know, if you were going to launch Calvin Klein jeans and you were going to launch Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger, everybody had a celebrity. And if you had a celebrity and you were going to do a launch event, you did it at Macy's Herald Square.
Mm.
So there was a lot that went through those doors. Presidents,
Mhm.
a lot.
Was there one person that you were like, I would love to just meet them, be in their presence, and that you had the opportunity to meet?
I had the opportunity to do that for a lot of people in my life.
Mm.
I spoke tearfully about my mother. My mother was like the biggest Neil Diamond fan, and in
Mine
2011,
too.
right? Um, we always had a throwback celebrity in the parade, and in 2011, I chose Neil. You know, you've got to do this, and that was the year my mother was there, and she got to meet Neil Diamond. And like I said, the Derek Jeter thing, I did that for everybody in and around. We would have Madonna come in and whatever. If somebody would want to meet somebody, we'd be able to bring somebody's like heart to a stop because
Mm.
they had this moment. Um, you could make a lot of people happy uh, very easily. And I had
You were the queen of memory making.
it was fun to do it, and you'd get calls from my cousin's friends, brothers, somebody down the street, somebody down the block. They would call out of the blue, and you could just make somebody happy, like
Mm.
really easily. You asked me why I was able to leave Macy's. There were like little boxes that needed to be checked in my mind of things that I wanted to achieve, and figuring out the anniversary for the 90th and the 40th of the fireworks were part of that. But there were two people that I had left on my list, and they were Billie Jean King and
Mm.
Hillary Clinton. And I met them both on the same night, and that was kind of the ribbon. And I met them both one night, and um, walked away. That was it.
Wow.
You know what I took? Somebody's like, you got to get a picture. It was like, I'm not getting a picture. Saying hello. I shook both their hands. I've met Billie Jean King again several times since, but I was not going to be that. Can you take a picture? Can I tell you how much you all mean to me? But we were at this black tie dinner, and I took their table setting piece where your name tag, where he's Hillary Clinton. I've got both of those. So
That's so good.
I love that.
yeah,
Mm. That's amazing.
That actually, if I was just going to say if they're listening, oh, that was so funny. If they ever, sorry, if they ever heard you, if they heard you say that, I think that would probably mean even more to them that you didn't go up, that you didn't have the conversation with them, that you didn't go through I'm sure
Mm.
everybody tells you this, you mean so much to me. Like just
Yeah.
knowing that you just took that little memory moment.
yeah,
Mm.
That's sweet.
it was a big deal. Big deal.
Yeah. Well, I just am so grateful that you took the
Keep crying.
time. And I know I'm going to
I'm
talk for a second
sorry.
while
Such
Jen
a
wipes the tears away from her
Wish I had a
face.
tissue in here.
Amy, that you just took the time out of your day, your newly constructed day over the past however many
I
years
know.
to spend with us and to tell us all about your experience. And it's inspiring. And I hope it inspires other women who are listening as well. But just really, really grateful for all that you are, all that you embody. And just thank you.
Thank you. I wish you guys the absolute best of luck in doing what you're doing. I thought we were going to talk about food, and I brought my favorite food.
I know. We
Yes.
have if you have the time, go ahead and share it. Oh, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Atta girl.
You know, can you eat that?
You can eat that. Oh, please, the
Oh,
fluff.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah, there's no bread needed. No, no.
I have a great dip recipe with
It
fluff
gets
that
too
I could
low.
send you.
You just turn it over.
That's right.
Right.
And you're good.
Eventually it comes out.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, we do have one question that we want to, and you may have just answered it, but we do have one
Yeah.
question that we'd love to ask everybody, which is
Mm.
what is a food in your life that you believe that you have eaten more than any other food? And what could you eat every day with reckless abandon and never get tired of it?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, it's God, I don't know.
It's okay if it's fluff. No judgment.
It really changes as the days go by, but I don't know, these last few years, candy has been really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Say more.
Swedish candy in particular.
Oh,
There's fantastic Swedish companies out there that make incredible candy that is not too sweet, that just tastes great.
mm.
Well, I will admit to a teaspoon of fluff every night before I go to bed. Um, and I just lied and said a teaspoon because there are many, many teaspoons involved. But marshmallows are a big staple in my life. And jalapeno stuffed olives.
Oh,
Oh,
yes. But do they float? Do those float in something?
right.
Sometimes there's a liquid that they sink right to the bottom of. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So when you guys coming over and gonna help me,
I know.
ASAP.
I'll be there in a few weeks, actually. We're
Yeah.
going to be, we'll be going out and I'll be there for multiple days.
I'll
Yeah.
come and Nick, I will, continually look out my dining room window to see when I get a surprise.
Ditto.
Favors.
And now that it gets lighter earlier, you can see us not in the dark.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
Ungodly hour do you guys walk in the morning?
We start walking at around 5:45.
That is fantastic. I will not see you at 5.
No, you won't. You won't. But sometimes when Heather and I work from home and we take our afternoon walk, that's when we get to see you and Dolly doing your afternoon walk.
Sometimes I see Heather alone. I never see you walking alone, but I do see Heather walking alone.
Yeah, that's true. Because I'm usually home when she's home,
Talk
and
about that. What is that?
We need to have that over some food. The other thing when you're talking about quickly about candy, I think that's the next venture, the candy store.
I'm close.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what the next chapter is.
I know.
I have to come back.
Yeah.
And when it's time for you to add that to your LinkedIn profile, or if you do need any, if you would like a right-hand girl to get your thoughts out.
Please, I will text you my.
Goodness sakes.
Somebody told me you're supposed to have a banner, and why are you wearing black? You're not a black person. You should wear bright colors because you're a bright person. And it's like, professionally, I've always worn black. I am a black person. I mean, it's unsolicited LinkedIn nonsense.
Yeah.
I know.
Get calls from LinkedIn, do they? They just check to see that you're alive. Like, this might be good. Let's see if she's got a LinkedIn profile. Does anybody get a job from LinkedIn?
That's a very good question. I don't know either.
That's another reason why. So, as an aside, if you want to talk about messy lives, there's a group of women that I talk to every 2 weeks. They've asked me to hop onto this phone call. It's a group of aged 50-something women who have all lost their job for whatever reason, downsizing, change of business plan, whatever it is. And they were all very big, dynamic women who held important jobs, and now they are losing their footing. And how do they get back into the workforce? And you talk about messy. They're mothers, they're in their 50s, they're competing against people that are in their 30s.
Oh, yeah.
Where a long history and a large skill set is not necessarily needed. Managerial skills are not necessarily needed. And they walk in the door with all of this seniority and just not needed. And they're the ones that have this conversation about LinkedIn and Glassdoor and blah, blah, blah. They looked at my thing and I was like, thank you for the input, but I don't need it because it frightens me to do that. So tell me about yourself. Um, everybody just copies everybody else's thing. Everybody's
Mm.
dynamic, everybody's innovative,
Mm.
everybody knows how to pivot. It's all just so much. And they're all fighting this good fight to get back into the workforce and trying to figure out who they are now for the next 15 or 20 years.
Yeah,
That's a messy conversation to have.
It's scary.
Yeah.
totally agree. Well, I'm going to pop on that call.
Yeah, you should. It's if you think about a career trajectory, helping women in their 50s to continue on that career path
Yeah.
when they either stepped off of it for themselves or not in their own doing. That
Mhm.
is a conversation to have.
Yeah,
Mm.
I love that. Cool. So you're
Mm.
headed to the city.
Yes, we're going to the city today. We've got a birthday party down in Tribeca. We're going to go to the theater tomorrow.
Nice.
What are you seeing?
Laurie Metcalf is in a new play, so we're going to go see that tomorrow night.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we've got the dog sitter coming. So,
Caitlin?
Caitlin, yes, Caitlin's coming.
Kate, we share dog sitters too, you know.
That's very nice.
Caitlin
You
has
can,
invited me to come see the sloth.
Oh, stop. You're like that close with Caitlin? Oh, okay. I have not gotten that close, Caitlin.
I'm going to bring
Wow.
Caleb. Caleb and I will go see the sloth.
That is so great. She works at the aquarium.
I was going to say like an actual sloth. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, this
So
my
your
son,
sloth?
my
Is your
sloth
sloth
is
by your
he's
feet?
it's 1:45 and both of them just woke up. It's like, oh, I get a first EIN and ER in 15 minutes, but I'm gonna ask
Not
you
say the
for
word.
it until then.
That's an early one.
Yeah.
Yes. We split it up into please. We split it up into two servings. I even forget why. I think it was probably around the time change years ago where we thought if we gave them a little bit and then gave them a little bit, and it's turned into a really bad choice because now they just bark. It's at 2, it's at 4, and then they want the TREAT.
Yeah.
It's not because they're that smart, but it's just because while we're cooking, and then the one that they get when we sit down to eat, it's
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
dog
Tell
parenting.
tell Gail that we said hello
I will.
and that we'll
If this has turned out
absolutely.
horribly and we want to do it again, let me know.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it won't because it's horrible.
Nope.
It would be
Yeah.
just purely to see your face. This was
You got
really
it.
generous of you.
Yeah.
My
You're
pleasure.
wonderful. You're a bright
Anytime
light.
I can talk about me, give me a call.
we, we will, sister. We will.
All right. You guys
Thank you
All
take
so
care.
right.
much. You take
Have a
care.
good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let me put this over here.
Wow.
I'm starving.
I know you must be. We didn't talk about what you were. We didn't talk about what you were eating, and I'm just drinking my green drink. So from this morning,
Mm-hmm.
she was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
What a light. What a bright, effervescent, nuanced light who
Mm-hmm.
has had quite the career and seems wildly appreciative of it.
Mm-hmm.
Knows what she had, knows what she has,
Mm-hmm.
and is excited about where she's going to go from here.
Yeah, I'm curious what that is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's about Swedish candy.
I think she jokingly said a candy store. Well, I don't know if she was joking because sometimes you can't tell when she's joking or not when you're in her
Yeah.
presence and stuff. And she's like, I think I want to open a candy store. I thought she was joking. Maybe she is. I don't know.
Well, that was even more than I thought it would be because of her verve and because of her personality.
Yeah, I knew she would be great. She's great. She is great talking, and she's great talking about herself and talking about her experience and telling stories. And she is really, if you ever see she and Gail together, Gail is much quieter, much more reserved. Amy takes up a lot of space. And again, not saying that in a bad way, but her energy and her being, and like she's she is the light in the two of in their relationship.
And I never sensed a smidgen of braggadociousness or
Mm-mm,
grandiosity. It was
mm-mm,
just storytelling, you
mm-hmm,
know. She could, by nature of her work, she could name drop all day long
mm-hmm,
because that's what she has done. But you
mm-hmm,
don't get it in a way that feels smarmy or
mm-hmm,
look at me.
mm-hmm. Totally. So that was
Mm,
fun,
it was super fun. Thank you
right?
for that. What a gift.
Mm,
I that was it really got my
mm,
creative juices going as I was preparing for it. And it also was a really beautiful reminder that these conversations are just going to have a life of their own.
yeah.
There's one thing I have learned throughout my career, it happened with Heather yesterday. I
Mm-hmm,
had 20 questions all lined up, right? And
mm-hmm,
some are more relevant, but even when you're doing the same type of interview, some questions are more relevant for other people, and you
yeah.
just have to be able to be flexible.
Mm-hmm,
And in a perfect world, they're flexible too, but if they're not, you have to be flexible enough to be able to pivot.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it really is the epitome of a conversation,
Yeah,
right? And I mean, yes, it's interview like because we're asking most of the questions. Um, but it's also like one answer or story she tells builds to the next question,
yeah,
And again, like you had said, you just answered five of the questions we were going to ask you, so you didn't even need to ask them, right?
yeah.
And so I think that's gonna happen with particular guests that we have on.
Absolutely. Because it's not about making sure that you ask the question. It's about eliciting the answer so that people can find out. Our job, I mean, my job as a writer and your job as a therapist is to try to get the thing out in the open so that it can be shared and it can be worked with and it can be learned either for
Mm-hmm.
educational purposes or just for entertainment purposes. And, it's never about hearing your own voice. It's about making sure that the other person, I don't know, says what you're hoping that they're going to say or just shares the thing that you're interested in, the
Yep.
curiosity piece.
Yeah.
So,
So you and I, um, so next week is the
mm-hmm,
13th. I'm wondering if for the 13th, since we're launching the professional identity one on the 13th next week,
mm-hmm,
and we have one in the hopper already, the labia.
mm-hmm.
If what we can do next week is do some more like administrative stuff.
Sure. We don't need to record. Yeah.
Yeah, like and kind of think about like how many episodes do we want in a season? When do we
Mm-hmm,
want to take a little bit of a break?
mm-hmm.
Um, how do we I need to work with Zoom a little bit to ensure that you can change things because I ChatGPT'd it and I couldn't find it and so that type of stuff. And
Okay. Yeah, I
I
love
think
that idea for us for next week. Let's use the time to go over whatever we have written or created
Mhm.
that we want to share with one another, and then let's use it as a Zoom, camera on work sesh to just
Totally.
talk, go through things, eat,
Hmm.
drink, be merry, and solve some problems.
Yeah, even
Or
social
not solve
media,
problems. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
timelines and all that kind of good
I would
stuff.
love to feel like we can get a handle on that in particular. If that was the one thing that we finished
Hmm.
next week, I would love to feel like we have some structure so that I can know how I can be showing up better and we can figure out a way to just do it to the best of our ability. Hi, little boy. I think your dad fed you. Your dad's a rock star. Here, you want to jump up? Come on. You want to show Nick your haircut?
Oh my God, you are little.
Oh,
Oh my God. I just love it when they get shaved like that.
he's just so Ruby looks like a fucking Jack Russell. Hi.
I
Yeah, you do.
fucking love that.
You do. You
Mm.
do. Hi. He's a good boy.
A brief update about Leo.
Oh,
I can't even tell you. It's
oh.
just so awful. Um, Let me find it. Um, so, um, Vin sent this yesterday. So, unfortunately, I have some very bad news to share. Leo was taken for emergency surgery a few minutes ago as a result of the pneumonia that he has had ongoing. He developed a severe infection in his lung. Images from the MRI demonstrated that the infection had pushed through the wall of the lung and spread into his muscle in his back. Doctors are concerned about the proximity to the spinal cord and wanted to take an aggressive approach, removing as much of the tissue as possible right away. The procedure should take 4 to 5 hours. All of the doctors across disciplines agreed that this is the best next step for right now. As soon as we have more information, we'll reach out. That was last night. And today, or last night after we went to bed, Leo is out of surgery. He's completely stable and was stable through the procedure. The doctor said that it looked a lot better once he opened him up and then than it did on the initial MRI. Spinal cord is untouched and completely intact. His vitals and bleeding were controlled. They did end up removing the lower chamber of his right lung. It was completely infected and damaged beyond repair. They also removed 2 4-inch segments from his ribs as well as the surrounding tissue because they were soft and rotted. They then scraped the wall of the lung and inside of his chest to remove any visible signs of infection. The doctors said that they got everything that they could possibly see. Overall, he still has a very serious fungal infection. He also had 3 large tubes put into his chest to wash and sanitize the infection going forward. It will continue to be treated over the next couple of days with antibiotics. However, the doctor reiterated the surgery was a necessary step and we would not have been successful without it. Overall, we won this round. Can you believe it? It's been so up and down. Like 1 minute, things are going well. His ANC, his neutrophil counts rising, 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 but then he couldn't breathe and was rushed into another type of thing because his blood oxygen was so low. Then, they think they drain the fluid, but nope, now the infection is spreading outside. Like it has been such a fucking roller coaster for that family. Well, I can't even imagine. So we pray
So we
or
pray.
do whatever we do to whomever we do to protect this little boy and return him to health.
Considering he was healthy
Yeah.
6 months ago,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
makes you realize and makes you think about the fact that things can change on a dime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just wanted
I'm
you to
so
know
sorry.
that's what's going on.
Are they going home ever? Are they just staying at the hospital? And what's going on with little Vince and with
Yeah, I don't know how
Leah?
yeah, I think they're probably dividing and conquering. I think they're both, I think likely somebody's there every single day and sleeping over. So either one or both of them. And then I'm sure like Gina's mom and dad live 2 doors down from them.
Right.
So I'm sure, and their whole church community, I'm sure everybody's kind of dividing and conquering right now. Yeah. Fucking wacky. And I know Vince is like, he's like, I'm dead inside. Like I literally, he's like, I'm dead inside. And he, obviously shown up doing his thing, but this is taking a massive toll, I think, on his marriage too. So,
And he's got 2 other children to be alive on the inside for,
I
right?
know. Yeah. I don't think he shows that he's dead inside, but because he's a kind of fake it till you make it type of guy, even when, he's feeling like he can't do anything else, he does. But I can't even just imagine what they're going through. So hold them in your heart.
If there's ever anything that you can think of that I could help with on any level, please,
Say the word.
says everybody who
I know,
hears
it's like,
about this, right? It's like, what do
I
you
know.
do?
Exactly. All that I know to do is I just keep the ship afloat at work for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And just check in with them
Yeah.
weekly. But that's all that I know to do.
Yeah.
Um, I know, baby. I know. I know you
That's
can't hear
enough.
me. Anything
Please.
else we need to chitty chat about or
Ooh, no, I think we're all set for now, my love. We'll
okay.
get everything ready for next week's episode. I'm gonna do it sooner than later.
I'll get that up to the platforms by tomorrow.
Excuse me. Okay.
The edited versions are
Hmm.
already done
Mm.
in the folder, so
Okay.
but I'll get that up by tomorrow.
I'll load it up and I'll get everything else that needs to go along with it. I'll have it be there.
Awesome, baby.
Thank you for today. You were
Thank you.
wonderful.
So are you. You a natural.
So are you.
That's why we're doing this.
Natural. You're so
Natchy.
cool. Natchy.
We forgot to say that.
I know. I know.
Mhm.
All right.
I love
I will
you.
talk to you soon. I love you too. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
You got it, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. I love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.